Japan is often seen as a flawless society, clean streets, low crime, and a population that seems to have everything under control. But behind the neon lights of Tokyo and the orderly flow of daily life, there's something most people never notice. Because beneath the surface of one of the world's richest nations, a hidden crisis is quietly unfolding, one so well concealed that even many Japanese citizens don't see it. The official numbers paint a near utopia, fewer than 3,000 homeless people across a country of 125 million. But those numbers are a mask. The real story? It's darker, quieter, and far more disturbing than anyone wants to admit. According to Japan's Ministry of Health, there were just 2,820 homeless individuals across the entire country as of January 2025. That's not a city, that's an entire nation. By comparison, the United States reported over 582,000 homeless people in 2022. On paper, Japan's problem seems virtually non-existent. But here's where things stop making sense. Japan has a population of 125 million. The US has around 330 million, only about 2.5 times more. And yet, America's homelessness rate is nearly 90 times higher. It sounds like Japan cracked the code. But did they? Not exactly. Because those low numbers don't reflect reality, they reflect what's counted. And what's counted excludes almost everyone you'd expect to be there. In Japan, homelessness often wears a disguise. Instead of sleeping on sidewalks or pitching tents in city parks, thousands live inside internet cafés, 24-hour spaces originally meant for browsing the web or killing time. But for many, they've quietly become home. They're known as net cafe refugees. These individuals rent small booths by the night, sometimes for months or even years. They have no permanent address, no stable income, and no safety net. But because they're indoors and paying, they're not counted as homeless. And it doesn't stop there. Some live in capsule hotels meant for short stays. Others cram into rundown apartments with no heat, no plumbing, and no rail security, surviving day to day, paycheck to paycheck. Technically housed, but teetering on the edge of collapse. In Tokyo alone, a government survey estimated more than 4,000 people were living this way back in 2018. And that was before inflation, the pandemic, and rising rent. They don't show up in official reports. They don't line the streets. And they don't ask for help. Because in Japan, being visible isn't just dangerous, it's shameful. Officially, Japan has fewer than 3,000 homeless people, but when you factor in those living in net cafes, capsule hotels, and unstable housing with no basic amenities, the picture changes completely. Experts estimate the true number could be anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000. That's a massive jump, and yet, no one talks about it. Why? Because Japan's definition of homelessness is narrow. If you're not sleeping outdoors, in public view, you don't count. If you're managing to scrape by in a rented booth or a crumbling room, you disappear from the data. It's a system that rewards invisibility. The more someone hides their struggle, the less likely they are to exist, on paper, at least. This illusion of control creates a comforting narrative that Japan has solved homelessness. But that narrative falls apart the moment you look past the numbers and into the lives being quietly erased. To understand how so many people in Japan ended up living in the shadows, you have to go back to the 1990s, when the country's economic miracle suddenly crashed. After decades of rapid growth, Japan's financial bubble burst. What followed were years of stagnation known as the lost decades. Entire industries downsized. Lifetime employment, once a guarantee, vanished almost overnight. Middle-aged men who had spent their lives working for a single company were suddenly jobless, and worse, unemployable. In a culture that values stability and loyalty, re-entering the workforce wasn't just hard, it was nearly impossible. Many never recovered. By the time these men reached their 50s and 60s, they had no savings, no career, and no family left to lean on. Some drifted into part-time work. Others simply fell through the cracks, alone, broke, and invisible. They didn't riot. They didn't beg. They just faded. In cities like Los Angeles, New York, or San Francisco, homelessness is impossible to ignore. Entire blocks lined with tents, shopping carts, and makeshift shelters paint a picture of a crisis that's both massive and visible. But in Japan, the silence is deafening. You won't find sprawling encampments or chaotic street scenes. Instead, the homeless population blends into the background, tucked away in parks, under bridges, or along riverbanks. Out of sight, by design, roughly 25% of Japan's homeless live in public parks. Another 24% settle near roads. Nearly 23% stay by rivers. They're hidden, not just by geography, but by expectation, because in Japanese society, suffering is meant to be private. Struggle isn't just a personal burden, it's a source of shame. Being visibly homeless is seen as a public failure, something many will go to extreme lengths to avoid. Meanwhile, in the US, while stigma exists, homelessness is openly debated. It's in the news. It sparks protests. It fuels political campaigns. In Japan, the silence is the policy. 2 countries, 2 crises, one loud, one nearly invisible. In Japan, homelessness has a face, and it's not young. The average age of a homeless person is 63.6. More than a third are over 70. This isn't a youth crisis, it's a forgotten generation quietly slipping through the cracks. Many of these individuals spent their prime working during Japan's boom years, only to be discarded after the collapse. With no retirement savings, no family support, and no real safety net, aging has become a slow descent into isolation. And in a society that highly values order and respect, elderly homelessness is especially taboo. Asking for help is seen as a loss of face. Admitting poverty is viewed as failure. So these individuals suffer in silence, tucked away in public parks, sleeping on cardboard, or stretching a coin for a meal at a convenience store. And the system? It's not built to catch them. While Japan's elderly population continues to grow, its support structures remain rigid. If you're alone, without a registered address, and ashamed to ask for assistance, you vanish. Meanwhile, in the US, homelessness skews younger, with over 30% under the age of 18. Families, teens, and veterans dominate headlines. In Japan, the crisis ages in silence. In Japan, the harshest part of homelessness isn't just the lack of shelter, it's the silence that surrounds it. Struggling publicly is seen as deeply shameful. Culturally, asking for help is often viewed as a moral failure, not a misfortune. And that pressure forces many to suffer quietly, even when they're desperate. It's not that help doesn't exist, but accessing it means confronting deep personal shame, navigating complex bureaucracy, and risking public judgment. For many, that's too high a price, so they disappear. Some avoid welfare offices altogether. Others keep moving between night cafés, coin lockers, and park benches, doing whatever it takes to remain unnoticed. Because once you're seen, you're judged. This stigma doesn't just isolate, it erases. The result? A society where thousands are living one breath away from collapse, but few will ever admit it. Their stories remain untold, their needs unmet, and their existence denied, not just by the system, but by the people around them. To the outside world, Japan looks like a country that solved homelessness. Clean streets, orderly cities, and almost no one sleeping rough. But that image? It's carefully constructed and dangerously misleading, because behind the numbers, behind the silence, is a hidden crisis. Tens of thousands live without stability, without dignity, and without being counted. They sleep in booths, not beds. They carry shame heavier than any blanket. And they exist in the gaps, not just between jobs or homes, but between recognition and denial. Japan didn't eliminate homelessness. It redefined it, pushed it out of sight, and buried it under cultural pressure. It's a quiet epidemic with no headlines, no outrage, and no real solutions. And unless something changes, those living on the edge will stay exactly where society wants them, invisible. Because sometimes, the most heartbreaking truth is the one you don't even see.